Hello, listeners, and welcome to a Geek Tragedy.
Yes.
I'm Stephen, known online as Plague Man for various reasons, and I am your host, and I often call this show a completely different name, but today everyone is happy because I've got it right. And I welcome you to the pods, along with my co-host, the most erudite human and my best friend, Holly Properly. Hello, Holly.
Hello.
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm tired for reasons we'll go into shortly.
You've got a strange wig growth coming outside your head.
That's my cat. He has taken to sleeping on the back of the chair there.
Oh, like a backwards owl.
Very much so.
It does
Yes.
blend in tonally quite well with your hair, though.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
There you go. And the other person here talking, or talking, is our very own salvage man and crafter par excellence, Mark Cordory. Mark, how you doing?
Hello, I'm fine. Yeah, I've had a good week of pottering around in a shed making stuff.
You said that last week, I think.
Well, it's pretty much all I do. I do a lot of it because, somebody's got to do it, and it's me.
Someone's got to potter around in your shed making stuff.
Yeah, really.
That's the issue.
If I could get some elves to do it for me, I'd spend more time in my hammock.
True. And him behind the scenes is our producer and the long-suffering Kit, who shall be named Kit. So this is not our usual podcast. This is our very first special episode pod, which we're just throwing out there this week. We're just going to put it out into the world rather than kind of having it sit in our Patreon area. So if you're listening, we appreciate you even more than usual. Both Holly Properly and I returned from a weekend at the UK Games Expo and are in a state of being A, really excited by what happened, B, hugely elated by the reception that we got there, and C, no, that's not the and, is it? There's just C,
Yeah.
keen for guests that want to come to the podcast. And then there's D, which is bloody
Completely knackered.
and liable to list things awkwardly. I think that's
And
kind of where we are.
the struggle is real.
So we're going to be talking about the expo. But obviously, usually I host and ask everyone questions, but I was there this time, so I'm kind of like in this format where we're talking about what's wonderful and what wasn't, and giving our nods out to creators, sellers, and what we liked and why we like things. Mr. Mark will be taking on the role of Chief Inquisitor and Torturer. Did you just put your elbow in a blob of ice cream?
Yeah, no, I have such questions for you.
Oh, there we go, good. And Holly and I will try to stay awake despite our exhaustion from the expo itself and relay tales of wonder.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's Tales of Terror you're thinking of there.
Okay.
Wonder's more like that's all.
That's not
I
wonder.
think
That is not wonder.
That's Benny Hill.
It's like a whale has swallowed a trombone.
Oh, God.
Listeners,
Anyway.
beware that this episode is likely to include more rambling due to the excessive tiredness of the other two hosts.
It's very. It's not
What Mark said.
Yeah. Mark can just be his usual level of silliness to try to bring us up to a standard level. So I'm going to hand over to Mark now.
Right.
Mark, I'm handing over to you.
Well, my first question is, which expo and where was it? No, it's basic and simple.
handy.
I know.
Question. It was in Birmingham, wasn't it?
No, it was not.
But you
It
can
was
call it all
in Birmingham.
friends.
Yes, it was the UK Games Expo, and it took place at the NEC, which has become known for some ungodly reason as the Birmingham, Cumingham. So that was the UK Games Expo.
There's a lot of squash. We played loads of squash.
Marvellous.
That
I
was
do
Games
actually
part,
think
bro.
that I've been there many, many years. Has it been running for years, or has it taken over from a different event?
Oh, I can answer that. So when you and I were, I was children and you were like a young adult. It was Gen Con, I think, the Games Expo, UK Gen Con, and it used to run at like Bognor Regis. No, not Bognor Regis.
The one at Birmingham. Has
No,
there been
the
a Games?
The expo itself was that, and it used to be Cameron Sands and Loughborough University.
Loughborough? Well,
Ruby Roo. Dibba-dibba-doo. Wally.
I am completely lost. You're just saying syllables now.
Liga
Is that-
Baruga, Loughborough.
It's- Anyway,
Come on, man, hold it together. You only have to stay awake for an hour.
that's where we went and what we did. Yeah, that's what it was. And I can't remember what it was. I don't know what happened at the Birmingham before that. We know there was Tool. Tool was on Thursday night.
Yeah, they were. There were when we arrived to pick up our tickets. A whole host of people there, and we thought this is a lot of people coming to pick up their tickets for the expo a day early, and all of them were wearing Tool t-shirts. And I thought, oh, that's a coincidence. And then it turns out that actually it wasn't a coincidence at all, and they were all there on purpose.
There was a convention of builders and carpenters.
No, they were there to see Tool.
Oh, right, okay.
It wasn't Nazareth at Christmas.
Wow, we're really selling these Patreon episodes, aren't we, so far? This is going to be well worth paying money for.
Anyway, go and ask us more questions then, you.
Right, okay, so presumably this was not the first time you've been to one, but were there companies that you were particularly interested in going back to see? Were there new ones which had enticed you from afar, from the internet, that you were seeking out?
We went last year.
Well, thank you for answering the question. I think that probably wraps it all up.
2023 was the first expo that we went to, and we largely went on a buying mission to get games for the club, to look at new games, to see what was out and around, what was being kickstarted, all of that kind of stuff. And
We had our eyes on
while
the
we
big
were
boys,
there,
didn't we?
we did have our eyes on the big boys. Like, we were looking at sort of, you know, the bigger, like, well, Scythe Expeditions was coming out, so that's a pretty big game.
Expansion. So these games, Mark's not really a board game. It's worth noting, but I mean, like just for like all round benefit, at the expo you're going to get tabletop role playing games. You're going to get board games, and like kind of those crossroads games that kind of marry into both of those things. You get a lot of creators and makers of like art and jewelry and other bits and pieces. All those kind of stands you'd expect to get at a convention. There's some podcasters there, probably a bit better than we are. Maybe, I'm not sure if that's possible, but
We are the best.
Simply the best. Better than all
but
the rest.
the really big companies are like Asmodee and Czech Games Editions and bits like that. You know, Ravensburger are there.
I was going to ask, were the big companies there, like Hasbro and Ravensburger? And
Well, Hasbro kind of get a presence at this particular one because it was a D&D 50th anniversary release.
well,
So there was kind of a lot of D&D content going on, but we didn't go anywhere near it. But like, there was a lot of it going on there.
There was a huge amount of. The thing that I'm really gutted about overall is that I missed out. So the people that were doing the Catan stuff this year, the people in the hats, just wandering around through the convention, they were giving you badges to put on your lanyard, and you'd got a set of 5 of the same resource, and then you had to go around and find other people that had the same badges and swap them until you had one of each, and then you could go back to Catan and you could get the robber as like a little like as like a little badge.
We were gutted about that. They were right next to us at one point, and they looked at us, and I was like, nope. Because they were clearly going to approach us, and I was not up for talking to them at that point because it was like packed and like hot, and I was going to be outside. So yeah, I didn't really want to stop and talk to the Catan people. You seem quite grateful to be outside as well.
I was grateful to be outside for absolute definite. It was very hot in there. It was the biggest expo that the expo has ever been. So there was sort of, I think it was like 65,000 attendees across 3 days, with like 40,000 of those, or around 40,000 of those, being like unique people. So people that were either had weekend tickets or had just come for the day. So it was huge.
That's a whole lot of geeks in one place.
Very busy.
But I mean, to answer your earlier question, so we did go last year, and we did go to look specifically, you know, kind of at the the big kind of stuff that's coming out, because that was kind of what we wanted to do at the time. We were like, oh wow, there's big games, but we were slightly flummoxed at last year's one for doing that, by Holly doing things like noticing whales.
That
The
was my
country or the
favorite.
mammal?
The mammal.
Okay.
So on the first day that we were there last year in 2023, we walked past a stall that had a large papier-mâché whale on it. And I said to Stephen at one point, like, I want to go back and find the stall with the whale. And Stephen and I were wandering around in one of the big halls for quite a while, and Stephen was like looking up at the ceiling
Because I
like,
thought it
all
was
the
hanging
time,
from the ceiling, you know, because
like the Natural History
I
Museum.
don't remember going past the whale, so I thought I'd noticed a massive whale, because Holly was doing like big hands for the whale.
It's big.
I'm looking for this massive whale that was hanging, but it wasn't. It was a small whale on a desk that I hadn't noticed.
It was big.
It was
like
huge.
bigger than
It was tiny. It was
bigger than the cat.
For the listeners, Holly's hands are probably about, I don't know, about
2 feet.
28, and that's not 2 feet. That's
That is definitely 2
No,
feet.
that's more than 2 feet. That's probably
No.
I reckon if we measured you right now, that would be about 2.5 feet, not quite a meter. Anyway, that's the rough size of the papier-mâché whale, which really caught Holly's eye. And they are an endangered species, because papier-mâché whales don't tend to survive long in the sea. Anyway, carry on.
And so that led us to meet a chap called Lee, who is the owner and like main creator in a games company called Molinarius Games. And we picked up their game, which is called Ocean Pods, and it's a little kind of dice drafting game. It's really nice, really simple.
Dice drafting?
And we learned. So you need to get certain resources to be able to pick up certain cards, and you do that by rolling dice that will have different pictures of different animals on that you could feed to a whale, and then you take the ones that are relevant to the
whale you're trying to attract?
To the whale that you're trying to attract, yeah.
Spam, then.
So there's no spam.
No, I was just inserting our favourite word into the podcast, subtly, so that nobody would notice.
These things actually have fibre in them. The shrimp and stuff that are being used to attract whales. The whale would not have any problems with constipation should it eat these
crunchy krill.
Crunchy krill. But it's a dice drafter from Molinarius, and we met them again, but at this one. But we'll talk about them a bit in a minute, I think. But yeah, so we ended up kind of going and meeting quite a lot of people from Instagram. I think last year when we went, I had about 4,000 followers, and I was quite excited by this as a number. And I put up a post to say like, "Hey guys, who wants to come and meet me at the Games Expo?" And in an unlikely maneuver, people actually did. It was very exciting.
4,000 of them.
No, that would be weird. Yeah. More like 10 of them maybe. But it was quite exciting.
And that was kind of the really, really great bit, was that we met, like, there were a load of people that we met last year that were back this year, so it was kind of like a bit of a reunion for everybody, which was really nice. Got to sit in the pub, have a couple of pints.
Were those traders or were those punters that you met?
Trader-wise, this year round, if we start with those guys, because like a lot of the people. So this year we decided that we were not going to do the big boys. We thought we did that last year. It was all right. It was really good. I'll be touching on 2023 again, but we got to meet the guys that made Lost Ruins Varnac, which is one of my favourite games, and they signed some cards for us. And I think I've told this story before, so it's not that exciting. But we got to meet quite a lot of like kind of cool people. We actually got to go and demo the big games, and that was cool. But we felt like after we spoke to Molinarius and a few other little companies, we really felt we were missing out on actually like kind of getting to talk to people creating their games and how much excitement and passion there was going on with that kind of stuff. And we were like, we feel we missed a trick here. So when we went back, we went to look at the not so huge and established companies, and it was a lot of fun. So
because that's kind of the difference, right? Like the big established companies, they are there to sell games, and they're there to sell. They've got teams and teams of people that are all like well trained and well versed in demoing different games, so that anybody can sit down at their table and they can take them through the game, what it's all about, and why you should buy it, and then you can walk away from that either having bought a game or not having bought a game, and it doesn't really make a difference to the company overall.
What is your
Some
cat
of the-
doing?
Sorry, your cat's about to be abducted by an alien.
Now
He's just
giving the audience like the proper outliers there.
he's just staring directly into very bright lights. I don't know. I think he's seen a fly.
Yeah.
So
So
that's big companies selling products rather than the creators who actually created
it was
those
telling,
games.
I think, how many of the smaller guys who were making these small games were saying to us, like, there's no money in board games. And, you're like, well, obviously it's the passion you're doing it for. I mean, it's not true that occasionally somebody that's like just a little startup with like, a couple of peas and a hat will get a freaking zillion followers on Kickstarter and it will just rock it. It's happened on several occasions. But, most of them like there's no money in board games. We went back to see Molinarius, and they would he like Lee was just one guy on his stand last year with his whale and his game, and this year we went back. He had 1, 2, 3 members of staff on the side counter, one at the back demoing his games, and him out the front. So he adds Ocean Pods, Time Troopers, which is really good, which is a new game which we demoed.
The Lakes game, which was the first game they ever produced, and Shoal, which was
they had a whole bunch
new.
of games. We got to meet. He's got like a new guy that created Shoal, who we met. His name is Mike
Peacock.
Mike Peacock, who's really cool, and he was really excited by creating his game. I'll do this picture because I'll go the whole.
Sure.
And when we met Lee at the start, we had a bit of a chat with him, and we interviewed him for like a little bit, and then we interviewed him at the end to see how he got on with his day. And that was quite exciting, so here it is. Hello, we're here with Lee from Molinarius Games. Hello, Lee.
Hello, how you doing?
We're all right. We had an excellent time doing the Time Troopers, which will be out
December, January.
Go Found, right?
Yeah, it's on Game Found. We're hoping to go to Tabletop Scotland as well. So we've been here at Aircon and we've had really good feedback. So yeah, we're hoping to get everything finished and done for December.
That's cool. So this is Lee at the start of the convention. This is just a quick kind of soundbite for when we do our podcast. Next week we're going to be doing the UK Games Expo as our podcast, so we'll put some of this on and you get to say some bits and pieces. And Lee's going to come on the podcast as well and actually do a proper interview. And we're going to come and find him on Sunday, and you're going to tell us what a great time you've had, and you're going to try not to look too bedraggled and near death.
Yeah, I can't promise I won't look too bedraggled by Sunday. I'm flagging already after the presser went last night, and it's only Friday, but yeah.
How was the presser?
It was good, we got a lot of good feedback, but it's a long day when you're having to drive and set up, but this is the fun part for us, when you're playing the game with people and you're seeing people love the game. It's really cool.
Love it. Cool, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, it's the end of the show, more or less. We're halfway through. Halfway through our tour of the end. And when we came on Friday, we had a bit of Time Troopers. We also discovered you, and we did some Shoal, which is a brand new game, very exciting, which we've now Holly is here and has made this poor man's sign his copy of Shoal. And embarrassingly great. You were very happy.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
He was so chuffed.
Yeah.
No one's asked me to do this yet.
Yeah, I'm very flattered, so I couldn't say no.
No, how's it been? Has it been good?
Yeah, it's been really good. We've had a really good show. We thought last year we kind of peaked with Ocean Pods because we had a really good show.
Yeah.
But obviously with Shoal and complements Ocean Pods and our other games very well. So I think we're about 10-15% up on last year, which is really good. So yeah, I'm very happy.
Yeah, Molinarius as well, the real big highlights of our year last year, so it's really good to come back, do Time Troopers, meet you, do all the things, and you look fresh as daisy again. How are you still looking fine?
Well, we live in Leicestershire, so we're going home every night and sleeping in our own beds.
We've also been going home and sleeping in a bed, which is nice. But it's warm and hot and slimy. And everyone else on their stalls is looking like dead. You guys are just
Well, I don't know how Mike feels, but it's kind of cool still getting that buzz from giving your game to people and watching them play it.
Yep.
And we were talking about this earlier and how someone, when they gives you money for something you've created, we still get that kind of buzz and that excitement. You just still get that?
Absolutely, you're right in that high. As soon as someone plays the game with you and you're there, just completely sucked in there, and it's such a great feeling. So you go from one to the next and the next, and you're just riding that high the whole way.
It's exciting. So listeners, this is us at the Expo saying goodbye to Molinarius. We'll hopefully see you next year, or if not before, right? You're going to come and find us and we're going to
Yeah, we'll come and say hello. We'll be at Tabletop Scotland and Aircon, and so we'll definitely see you before the next.
And they're going to come and book us at some point.
Yeah, definitely. I'll come on, I'd love to come on the podcast, and Mike as well.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Well, both of you, obviously. Everyone, bring all of them. Right, cool. Thank you much. And there you go.
That works.
Oh, it was good. I liked that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And yeah, so he really moved out, and we like. I didn't playtest Shoal, which is the new guy by Mike, and Holly did with your friend Steph,
And I won.
I thought he was going to burst into tears.
Oh well, I had to buy a copy because I really enjoyed it. It was
You didn't buy it. You made him sign it, which was lovely.
well, yeah, I got him to sign it because it was his first. It's his first game that he's created that's come to market, and when he's a very big and very famous game creator, I want to be able to kind of to say, hey, I met him, that he signed a copy of his very first ever game, and he drew a tiny fish on it. And it made me very happy, and it made him quite happy too, which is nice. I feel like we did a lot of joy spreading at this expo.
What kind of game was Shoal?
Shoal is a card placement game where you're trying to build a shoal of fish within certain parameters, and you have to place cards on the table in a certain configuration to get as many points as possible against your opponent.
There's a lot of aquatic.
It's super easy.
Based. They do a lot of aquatic stuff, yeah?
So a lot of what Lee was talking to us about in 2023 was how he works with anti-plastic charities, and the whole kind of part of Ocean Pods and things is about getting
Like
plastic
Doctor Who
out of the
and
ocean.
the Autons.
That was a Doctor Who reference.
I high-fived a Dalek.
Yay!
He did. Sorry, we were talking very sensitively about Molinarius, and I've just derailed it with my Doctor Who reference because you said anti-plastic, so I was away.
Right, I don't think I've
The
seen
Autons are made of plastic. He stops them with anti-plastic with his Eccleston. It's just a thing.
Right, okay. I don't know if I've seen that one or not.
It's the very first episode of Eccleston's of New Doctor Who's Rose episode.
Is it the one with the mannequins?
The shop
Yes.
with the dummies, yeah, they're the Autons.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, look at me go.
Yay.
Knowing Doctor Who.
No.
Yes, eventually, yes.
First appeared with John Pertwee, I think.
It was indeed Pertwee's first episode.
Yeah. And still
Yeah,
one of
anyway,
the best Doctor Who monsters. Anyway, back
I'm
to the
wearing
Games
jackets.
Expo. Meanwhile,
Where my Pertwee jacket
back on
today?
Holly.
Look,
Hello. Yes, so there's a big kind of, Save Our Seas anti-plastic theme that runs through the work that Molinarius do. We can all see your jacket, unless people are listening to this podcast, which is mainly in audio format.
I should describe it then. It begins at the slitty wing.
Good lord.
I'm tired.
We're all
So, yeah.
tired now.
Look at Sully.
Yeah,
They
even,
can't
even
explain
Sully's
it.
bored with this. Okay,
Well,
back to the game sets. Come on, if I'm meant to be the leader of the gang for this one episode,
You have to do the chivying
I do.
and the keeping
and
on the
consider
straight
yourself
and narrow.
chivied.
We went to the War of the Worlds. What was the rest of that? War of the Worlds.
One more day.
One more day. There we go. I can remember
And it's
that.
wonderful creator Matt.
Right.
Yes.
War of the Worlds, I can probably figure out what the theme of that game was. What's One More Day?
That's the whole sentence.
Oh, right,
So the
okay.
game-
It's one game, not two
War of the
games.
Worlds is the world, and one more day is the game.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
If you take my meaning, I guess.
And
I
how
mean,
does that play?
Well, that's a deck builder sort of thing. It's interesting actually. I was quite surprised by the format. I really enjoyed this game. It's a bit unfortunate because I was spending a lot of my time because it was so crowded. His booth was so great. He's a one man band, by the way. He's the one guy who built the whole game. There's an artist that lives in the village next to him who does the artwork for his cards, but otherwise it's just him. And he was very busy because he got it's his many time out doing the playtesting, and he's on to his 2 more chapters left to write, I think, isn't he? Yeah.
I think that's what he said. Yeah,
And the
but
booth was surrounded, wasn't it?
and he was fully booked for all of his playtests.
Yeah. So we got in early and got a playtest, and then we got there, and I thought it was going to be me, Holly, and Steph, but there were other people who kind of.
And Steph had to go and fix her car.
Yeah, there were other people, Mark. It was terrible. They were there.
Like thousands of them everywhere, all the time.
Stuff, talking and looking. And yeah, so there were loads of people around the stand, and every time anyone kind of looked at it, I couldn't help but just turn around and go, like, you should definitely get this. Is a great game. But what I mainly explained to them was that it was really engrossing. So like you're drawing 5 cards, and you put them down in front of you, and that's your hand play for the round. There are a sequence of resources in front of you, which are like your health is in hope and hit points. If you run out of hope, you just kind of done in. You don't want to do anything anymore. Hit points is like kind of I'm dead. Obviously, that makes sense. You add I've forgotten the 2 over here. There were 2 over here.
There's inspiration, I think, and
intuition?
Stamina. No, intuition and
no,
stamina.
You're right, stamina. Intuition and stamina. So stamina let you take actions with your card, like get extra cards and stuff, and intuition let you resolve some things that were going on in the main center of the board. Then you had shillings.
Shillings,
in the
actual proper shillings.
We were very pleased by the fact that you've got actual shillings that you used to buy stuff with. And then you've got like a row of cards, which you often get in like a deck builder, which cycles through, and you've got to try and you can buy those cards with shillings and add them to your deck. But sometimes they cycle out and you lose them. So other times you cycle them out so you get better cards.
Where do the aliens come in?
So in the middle of the boards is the event decks. There's an events based about where you are in London at the time, where you're trying to deal with the aliens, and you've got like what the aliens are doing deck.
So there's a board.
It's kind of a play mat.
Okay,
it's a play mat in the middle of this, and you're playing against
a traditionalist, but I do like a game with a board on it.
Yeah, nowadays a lot of the games have role play mats that you get for cards with all the bits on them because it's easy to cart around and that kind of thing. They're more durable quite often. They're prettier.
They're much more durable than
they're easy to print.
Than boards quite often.
And it's a solo game, and you're playing against the deck, and the deck brings out like kind of events and stuff you've got to deal with. And I didn't get to play a lot of it because I was paying too much attention to Holly, who was handing out business cards for him.
I was doing his whole spiel while he was
Holly was doing the spiel, and I was
everybody.
reinforcing it by saying, "This game is really good because you really feel like you've got to really think about what you're doing against the boards, and you've got to really think about what you're doing in your hand and how you can recycle your hand, how you can build your deck." I mean, I only played it for like 10 minutes, realistically speaking. I got this really good feeling for it, and equally, when you did take actions against the deck and you achieve something, you felt really kind of like, yeah, I have successfully achieved the thing that is good, getting a positive feedback of this, and it got gradually harder. So like the bad guy deck would reinforce itself with another deck that was basically pumping out more war machines, and it's not a game where you can just duff up the tripods because they're quite hardcore. You've only got you're just people walking around the streets of London, and there's death ray tripods wandering about the place.
Does it have little figures?
It's got cards.
But the cards are beautiful. The artwork is stunning.
I'll let them off then.
And as much as it's kind of created as a solo game, it's you can play it kind of cooperatively with the people around you. Like you can make decisions together. So it's definitely not just a game for one person to play on their own, but it can be. And I think that's something that we were kind of really looking for.
Yeah.
At the expo as well was sort of more solo games for.
We found the same thing
club
with Time
and things.
Troopers, didn't we? Because we didn't say about Molinarius. So he had a simple deck builder solo game, which is very good. And I think we spent a little bit too much time on Molinarius. They've had a lot of airtime, so it was really good though. And both Lee and Matt have said they'll come on the pod.
Yes.
And in fact Mike, who was the guy that designed Joel. So
one game you had mentioned, which caught just the name go, ooh, that sounds good, was Enter the Black Vault.
Okay, so that wasn't a game. That was actually a stall. And that was run by a... That's all right. I mean, we said names, so, it sounds like a game though, right?
It does.
It does.
Should be.
It absolutely does.
He was a chap called Stuart.
Stuart, yep.
Yep, Stuart Black.
Yes.
And he was a creator of... we have up there was monstrous manuals, wasn't it? For
yeah, so there are a couple of sort of big monster manuals for D&D specifically, and there's a Kickstarter going on at the moment that I backed basically as soon as I saw it when I got there, because it's a monster manual for D&D that contains basically everything in it is fruit and veg. So, but they're all monsters. So you've got like the bitter lemon, which is my absolute favorite. The asparagus.
Not impressed.
I just think it's great. Like it's like bitter lemon, asparagus, a dragon fruit who's actually a dragon. It's brilliant, and I find the sheer creativity and the sheer kind of desire to get something new out there, huh?
I like the book he gave me, which is actually full of like terrifying monsters from the crypt kind of thing.
Yeah, those are the ones that are designed to like really inspire madness.
Yes.
Whereas
had a very eldritch horror theme to it, kind of very Chthonian feel to it, which is in keeping
we're talking about the veg here.
Sorry, I was a step away from the
celery of Cthulhu.
There you go. But yeah, he was cool. I'd recommend people go and look at his stuff. The art was stunning. I quite like the concept work of the stuff from the book I got, which, like I say, was quite an eldritch horror theme to it. It seemed like quite a nice chap. We had quite a long chat about.
Absolutely lovely.
Yeah. Where else did we go?
So in terms of games, we hung out a reasonable amount with Leon from Questiny,
yes.
Questiny board game. You played more of that than I did, though, so that might be one for you. I just liked there was a bit in it. He's built these incredible cardboard structures.
Well, these are playtesting games we're putting out to Mark, so these are just they will be, I would imagine, more solid when they're in the final product.
Yeah, but you need to find a thing, and you need to get into a castle, and when you kind of go towards the castle, you can lift up a part of the castle, and inside is the thing that you need to get, or a thing that you need to fight. I'm not sure. I wasn't actually playing.
Have you played, Mark,
the game?
A game from the dawn of time known as Hero Quest?
Yes.
Yes. And did you play Warhammer Quest?
No.
Okay, so it's a bit of a cross in those two, but I like the fact it's one board, and that will probably be the one board you always have. And unlike Hero Quest, we have a little quest, but you go through it. It's got big rotating discs on it, which turn around depending on what you're doing during the game, and mess around with the layout of this labyrinth and what's on it and where you're going, which I found to be quite frustrating in a positive way, because I was like progressing through the board to assist my comrades who were getting like a bit duffed up by some bad guys. And then the whole board shifted around, and I was suddenly quite back near the start, going, that sounds
like a similar mechanic to Labyrinth, one of my favourite games at the moment, because it's so easy to learn. But the way the board will change and just confound you and really fuck up your plans.
I thought that was very cool. It had a lot of similar stuff to Hero Quest. There's a lot of like kind of drawing cards that do different bits and pieces in the game that you can keep and equip to yourself and that kind of thing. Bit of dice rolling going on. There were some sweets. That was nice.
Sweets are always good.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun playing. It was it had that kind of replayability feel to a game, even though it had like kind of that finite. You're just doing this quest, but equally, again, a lot of the demos, which is a real downside to doing a con for like 15 minutes in a game, we're like, this is only a tiny part of our game. You're kind of coming in halfway through. We're going to let you do these bits because we haven't got time for you to play like the whole hour and a half, 2 hours of the game. So you only get like a little bit of the feed through. But yeah, what I did was very good. And he's going to come down to the club at the weekend, so we're going to see him on the Saturday, because he's bringing his games to our Games Day, which is exciting. So if you're hearing this before Saturday the 8th of June and you want to come to Plateford Village Hall in Plateford in Hampshire, that's not hard to find. You just put it in just Sat Nav.
And meet Leon and play Questiny.
And play Questiny. And maybe get some sweets if he brings any. He might even have mead with him. He definitely mix mead off someone else's table. Then this is the place. And we also, it's probably worth taking a moment. We did an interview with him at the start of the event and one at the end, and this is what he sounded like. I'm here with Leon from Questiny.
Yes.
It's your first day at the Expo.
Yes.
And you've been here for what, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours? How long have you been sitting here?
It feels like an eternity, but...
And you are running the test for your game.
Yes.
So we're doing a pod in a couple of, pod especially for the UK Games Expo. Next week we're going to use some of this stuff and we're going to say these are guys we met.
Yeah.
So, you've been doing, how long have you been developing Questiny?
This started in 2020 actually, so a long time. Yes, a classic lockdown creative project.
What should I do? I'll build a board game.
Yeah.
So you come on a pod, we're going to ask you a lot of questions, so I won't go into that now, but how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling full of energy, ready to go?
I actually am feeling great. It's been so much of this is just sat at a computer, at home. So to actually sit here with people again and see, remind myself what it's all about, see the smiles, I feel great.
Wicked.
Yeah.
I'm going to come and find you on Sunday and see how you are feeling.
I will probably be feeling the same, I'm sure.
Well, you've got a big bag of sweets I've given you to keep you going.
Yes, I have.
So hopefully they'll keep you going for the next couple of days. Right, shall we get on? Right, lovely talking to you. Thanks for the great game.
Thank you so much, yeah.
So it's been a whole 3 days.
It has.
And you're looking still quite sprite.
I'm sprightly. I think it's the fairy blood, the fey bloods.
See, it's got fey blood. Where'd you get it from?
Oh, I can't tell you that. But I can give you a shiny piece of gold if you'd like to take it.
Let's have the gold. I'll just get my soul out of my back pocket.
I promise you nothing bad will happen. Nothing bad at all.
Has it been good?
It's been really good.
How many done? Can you remember?
I can't remember, but it's been pretty much non-stop. Pretty much non-stop, from back to back. There's been so many smiles, so many cheers, and everyone's loving it.
Will you do it again next year?
Absolutely.
And you're going to come down next week and do it with us?
Yes, love that. Yes.
That's really good.
Keep those quests rolling.
I played it, I loved it. I'm looking forward to showing it to the guys at the club. And we're going to run a podcast soon.
Yes.
And maybe even LARPing, you keep saying. You want to LARPing.
Absolutely.
We'll get this man an actual app.
I've been waiting to LARP for so long.
Well,
so now's the time.
Which is lovely. So that was Leon, Phew. Did we? I don't know if we recorded his worst moment of the event.
No, we didn't. We absolutely didn't. But I can tell you about it because it's made me chuckle a number of times since we went to see Leon on Sunday, and his kind of, we went up to him and we asked how he was doing, was everything okay, and how he was getting on the last day. And he said, everything's been great. We had some lovely people, got some really great feedback. Apart from there was just this one bit of really awful, really negative feedback, and it was horrible. But I've dealt with it because it happened in my dream last night. Like, okay.
I love the fact that it was like, I've been demoing so long that I just dreamt about demoing.
Anxiety is a wonderful thing to go to bed with.
But yeah, no, it was absolutely wonderful person, and the game looks great.
Excellent.
So very excited.
Here's a question for you. Out of all the games that you saw and tried, were there any which had a mechanic that you'd never come across before and you'd gone, oh, wow, this is a really interesting new mechanic?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question. I can tell you while Stephen thinks about mechanics, because
well, you actually probably demoed slightly more than I did. But then again, I demoed that one.
The Abandoned Lighthouse game.
Abandoned Lighthouse games. Yeah, I did one there, which was a bit different. But you tell your story first.
The thing that it's not so much as a mechanic. It's more of a how a game was put together. We didn't get to finish the demo because we had to go to another demo that we'd arranged for, and this was just kind of a sit down at a table and look at a thing. But there was a game about. It was about a library. I think it was called Horror in the Library.
It was
I'm not sure.
Horror in the Library.
And it had different tiles that you placed in a square, which formed your board. And part of the mechanic of that game was that you could spend an action to rotate one of those pieces so that doors lined up, or so that you could get to places more easily. And there are a lot of games out there that require you to rotate tiles, and it's the biggest.
Catacombs is a good example.
Like Clank Catacombs, and it is a huge faff. It's a massive pain in the arse because inevitably you want to move one that's in the middle of somewhere, and then you have to basically dismantle the board to rotate something by like 90 degrees and put it all back together. absolutely. This one had little tiny handles in the middle of each of the tile pieces so that you could just pick it up by the handle, rotate it, and put it back down again, and it was seamless. And I really enjoyed that. Stuck with me, that did.
We had a good 20-minute lecture at least once every 6 or 7 hours about how good these little knobs were, which always made me laugh. There was a lot of like, oh, you like handling your little knobs, do you? It was all very funny. But yes, for me, I think that probably was the Abandoned Lighthouse game. I mean, I'm sure this exists somewhere, right? Because I haven't played everything under the sun, and I hadn't played anything quite like it before. It was a little bit confusing, a bit overwhelming, and again, it was a solo player game. I played a lot of solos. We were trying out solos because we wanted to get some for the Ball Games Day. We did a lot. We did like 8 or 9 solo games out of like the 15, because we went a kind of slight tangent. We went a half and half, kind of what we were doing. Half the time with creators, half the time with game sellers and stuff. Yeah. So this game was like a choose your adventure book. It was a big pile of cards, and then you kind of played them into the middle of the table. And you were, if you remember the old Fighting Fantasy books and whatever, you had like a load of cards in front of you, your stats, which had like your soul and body and psyche and stuff points in them, very similar to kind of like, the old Fighting Fantasy books. You put a card and it had a description of what happens, and it had little arrows pointing to which way you would go next. And in the direction of the arrows were more cards that you could then flip over. So you were going for this kind of randomly crazy dungeon, which I quite liked, because you just shuffle the cards and put them down at the north, south, east, and west corners, and you play your cards into the middle. So if you just go north, you're getting a north card. If you choose then to go east, you're getting an east card, and they could be playing anywhere. I quite like that as a feature, and I think it had like some monster cards that you brought out, but it was always, I was hoping it would be random, but it only had like in this area you fight Monster 4, and Monster 4 was a chimera or whatever, so it was always the same. But I quite like the way that the cards in the middle works, and I was thinking at the time when he was running me through it, and I'm sure he already has, but this is a really good expansionable kind of game that would probably, and if you write the cards well, they would just fit together. No matter what you put with them, you could put them with any other cards and they'd work, I guess, maybe.
So you were saying there's a lot of solo play card and board games out there. Why do you think that there were so many? Is that because people just don't have the time to get everybody together? Holly, you've put your hand up at the back of the class.
I think I can answer this.
I have. Well, no, I was just gonna tell Mark what Lee said. So Lee at Molinarius Games, who is creating a solo player game. No, I'm not talking about the library game.
Oh, God.
This was a different part. You can tell the story about the library game later if you like. But he was saying that they'd created a solo game because, not necessarily because they didn't have people to get together and play games with, but because there'd be a moment when their wife, their significant other, their partner would be watching something on TV they didn't want to watch, or would be out somewhere or doing something, and it was just much easier
to go and play with yourself.
Well, yes, but in a non
innuendo
euphemistic kind of way, yes. So they're creating, like, a lot of people are creating solo player games that you play in chapters, so you can play sort of on an ongoing story basis. Yeah, so you can just kind of whack one out. No.
That's worse, Holly.
Sometimes I wonder if she does this on purpose.
I absolutely don't.
So, okay, in chapters, are they replayable? Because again, the whole replayability of games, if you've got a storyline that's running through,
it'd be surprising if any of the chapters were not variable in their outcomes. You could do like a 12-chapter solo game and finish it and probably want to play it again, but those 12 chapters take you a long time to do. It's also definitely worth pointing out to Mark, because again, Mark doesn't play board games as much as we do. Most games now
plays board games as much as you do.
I think a lot of people play board games a lot more than we do. We don't play them as much as you think we do. Like once a week on a Monday and once a month on a Saturday. It's not a lot comparatively, and occasionally at other days. But anyway, a lot of board games these days, Mark, even if they're multiplayer, will have a solo mode. They're all designed to have an automata mode where the board works on its own, right, and you can play against it. Most games will have that nowadays. I don't know how long that's been a feature, to be honest, but But
It's a pretty good one.
yeah, it's generally considered the thing. But like the solo player board games are generally nowadays if they're on their own, they're very small and easy to kind of cart around with you. And we
got one in a mint tin.
We did. We love a mint tin. You can talk about them in a second. But like, we wanted them for the club very much because when you've got people coming, when you're trying to do games, and you've got like 30 people in the room, and they've all just started playing a game, and then one bloke wanders, and you're like, this is awkward.
Here, take this tin and go and play with yourself.
Well, even if you set up a game that's 1 to 4 players, that's got a 1-player mode, they generally take ages to put up anyway. It's like a one person playing a 4-player game. Could be a 4-player game. It's often like a 20-minute takeoff, 20-minute takedown. Whereas 1-player games are generally like a 2-minute put up. And we'll still give you like half an hour, 45 minutes. Kills time while you're waiting for everyone else to finish playing the games.
Okay, here's another question for you. Because you say I don't play that many board games, and it's true. But my biggest issue with board games generally is the mountain of bloody rules you've got to go through before you can even start. And you were just saying like it takes 20 minutes to set up the board before you even start. And kind of I lose enthusiasm very quickly, and I also don't do a lot of rules. So in terms of the games that you saw at the expo, which do you think, were there any outstanding ones to go, yeah, this is a real easy pick up and play?
Well, it's hard to answer because a lot of the games we played were in playtesting. So, they're only halfway through development. So like Matt with War of the Worlds did actually a rule book. He's got it in his head. He's telling us.
So he'll tell you.
Yeah. And
But you can. Sorry.
We're telling him. We're saying to him like, this is complicated, and he's taking that on board. And yeah, go on, Holly.
But there is a working rules book document that you can that is linked to his Instagram account, which is quite fun because then you can see like the actual development of the game as it goes along, which is kind of cool, and where all the updates are and things, which is fun. I think for me, like every game that I played
Shoal,
was
wasn't it?
Shoal.
Straight off the bat, I suddenly thought, well, Shoal took like 2 seconds for Mike to talk about, and then you played really quickly.
The rules for Shoal are on one single playing card sized piece of card.
No, that's my kind of game.
And it basically just shows you everything that you need to do. It's one of those games where it's really simple to play, to put together, but it can, tactically speaking, it depending on the cards that you draw and how you place them, can be quite challenging to kind of to win at.
Okay. Everything that you've mentioned so far has had a theme to it or a subject. Were there any purely tactical games? I mean, I struggle to think of an example. I mean, going way back, Ludo has no theme. And were there any games which were just purely about strategy, or were all the ones that you were looking at?
I don't think so. Yeah, because there's so many games now. I mean, I might be wrong, right? But in my opinion, that because there's so many games now, there's like thousands and thousands of board games, right? You're often selling a repackaged rule system with a new theme, and you're trying to get people to buy the theme rather than the actual rules package. Yeah, like we did.
Like Monopoly.
Yeah, we got into a pickled onions sort of scenario with one of these major games creators who's got like Mr. Jolly, who's got like a really big game on called Oathsworn that he produces. There's not Oathsworn. What was Oathsworn?
Well, there is Oathsworn.
Yeah,
but,
so he's got a new game coming out.
Avalon.
And Holly can say a story about pickled onions, but I just want to say that it's like it looks like an incredibly good like deck builder / land control. It's got meaningful placement. It's got like loads of facility in it, and he's written it in such a way that you can either flip the board one way, like in your own personal character boards and stuff, to be heavily effectively rules based, if you like. So a lot of it's just kind of moving cubes around stuff, or you can flip it the other way and it becomes very thematic. So it's less about rules and more about storytelling in its design. Basically, I mean, I could go on to we just watched him do a demo, so it's not playable at the moment, so we can't take his word for it. Do you want to tell a story of how we know him, and then we should really talk about some traces?
Yeah, sure. So the games company is called Shadowborn Games. They have a game out already, which did very well on Kickstarter, called Oathsworn Into the Deepwood, I think. And this Avalon the Riven Vale is their new game, and it is created by a chap called Jamie Jolly. I had never heard of.
Holly thinks that's a wonderful name.
I think it's the best name. It's such a great name. I'd
Also
never
featured in
heard
the pod.
of. Yeah. I'd never heard of Shadowborn Games before, and 3 or 4 months ago, I think, I was at the pub with my dad, and I met the man that we colloquially know in our family as Unky Dave, who makes the world's best pickled onions and the world's best hot sauce.
They are
And I
very
was
good.
I was talking to him for ages, and then he said to me, "You're Holly, right? Because I have a sister, and she was there as well." And he, didn't really know which one of us was which. And I said, "Yeah, that's me." And he said, "Oh, you're the gaming one, right?" I was like, "Yes, that's me." He said, "Oh, you should check out my son-in-law's game. It's called Oathsworn." And I was like, "All right, okay." And then my dad texted me a few weeks after that and said, Unky Dave's son-in-law has a new game coming out. You should follow them, and sent me the Facebook link. So I found the Facebook link.
Bad spoiler, it wasn't about pickled onions and hot sauce, which I was really hoping it would be.
That would be a great game. And then about a week before the expo, when I said, I'm going to the Games Expo, my dad sent me a message and said, "You have to go and see Jamie and say hello from Dave." So I ended up walking up to this very professional looking outfit, big
It was one of the biggest stalls
shelves.
there,
It was
yeah?
one of the
Most
biggest
people got like a
stalls.
little narrow booth. This guy had like, sort of 30 feet of space.
There were like loads of things everywhere, loads of stuff you could buy, loads of people that all worked for
Lots of
Shadowborn.
professional looking stuff.
But
And
were
I
they
went
selling
up to the
pickles and chili sauce?
They were not.
Disappointing.
I went up to the they built a proper counter, at a proper counter with proper point of sale kind of devices and everything. And I went up and I was like, I'm looking for Jamie. And they kind of like sort of eyed me and were like, "Do you have a meeting with him or something?" And I was like, "No, my dad knows his dad. I've been sent to say hello." And they were quite kind of like, "What is going on here?" And then I mentioned pickled onions and hot sauce, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Dave." And it just kind of all sort of snowballed from there. So I had to go up to a very prolific games creator who was very busy doing his job and say, "Hi, your father-in-law sent me to say hello." It was
incredible getting. They were like not to see him. They were like, you're not seeing this guy. And then Holly's like, pickled onions and hot sauce. Like, oh, that guy. Yeah. We've all had his.
The Elon Musk of hot sauce. I actually want to try Unky Dave's special hot sauce now, being a bit of an aficionado.
It's lovely.
Do you want to ask some questions about creators? Because I was going to run out of time. We're going to mention some of our favourite people.
Well, hey, here's a question for you. Mention some of your favourite creators.
Okay, I think we're going to probably start off with. So we went again, like kind of to go around and buy not tat. I can't really explain what that means, but last time we bought some tat.
Sounds to me like not shit games.
I got
books, but last year when we went, I spied some really incredible Star Wars art, and we bought some from
a lot.
we bought the Melis Outpost, which is run by our now friend Jens, and we patroned Jens and everything, and like collect that artwork every month. But when we were going back, we were like, we won't get too much because we can't just spend 500 quid on like a load of Jens artwork. Guess what Holly did?
Spent 500 quid worth.
I definitely didn't spend 500 quid. I definitely didn't do that. But there was a bunch of like Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit artwork. There was a pin that I didn't get last year that I was really excited I that
all of my
was
James
still available.
artwork is out of reach. I can't show Mark any.
And you know, she's an absolutely wonderful creator of beautiful things, and I wanted to go originally because she'd put out a zine called Hobbit Girl Autumn on Kickstarter that had done really well, and I'd got my copy a few days before the expo. Sorry, my cat is failing to get off a chair. And and so I wanted her to sign the copy that I had, so I wanted to go up and see her kind of quite early on and get that signed. And the problem with going to that stall quite early on is that there's really great stuff, and I wanted all of it, so I bought it.
Okay, yeah. And are you going to put it up on your wall?
Yeah, so it's just for anybody that is listening. It's my birthday in a couple of weeks, and what I would really like is picture frames, please. Anyone wants to buy me a picture frame?
Particular size? A4?
So, some A4 ones would be great. Basically, I can make any size work. I've bought so much artwork in the last sort of, you know, in the last few days. Picture frames would be great.
There was a good conversation with Jens about doing cover artwork for some of my one shots, which is nice, and some stuff for the board game we've got in dev. So that's really cool.
Excellent.
And they'll be on the pod if we'll have them, and I thought that'd be nice.
Yes.
But we also had some excellent conversations with Crocodile.
The glass crocodile.
We will also come on the pod if they want to, so they can explain why they're called the glass crocodile. Who made me? We got for me a TARDIS, which was beautifully worked in glass, stained glass.
She buys the sheets of glass and then does everything else herself. So all of the putting together, and it's all just the things that she really likes. So there's a lot of Doctor Who. She had an incredible Tom Baker scarf just made out of glass that was all just twisty and wonderful. There were sonic screwdrivers, but then she also had the Pegasus from Stargate Atlantis. She had Predator made out of glass. They were all absolutely just incredible pieces of work.
She did a lot of fangirling because she was like, well, I'm not really a geek. I'm in today's stuff. And I was like, come on the pod. She was like, meh. And I said, like, you know, when's your period? And she was like, kind of like of style of sci-fi or whatever. And she was like, well, maybe the 80s. And I said, do you remember Nightmare? And she was like, yeah. She really loved Nightmare. Did a bit of it. Oh, Nightmare's great. I went, well, one of our co-pod people made stuff for Nightmare, the dragon and whatnot. And she was like, so like, she's going to be very excited to meet you when she comes on, I think.
Excellent. And she does Doctor Who stuff as well.
Yeah.
No, double whammy.
There's a lot of cool stuff. So you can just chat and we'll just sit in the corner.
Yeah.
Which would be cool. So we met those guys. I'm aware we've talked about games quite a lot. I mean, we've hardly covered anything. I mean, this is a.
I haven't even started talking about books.
Well, you have 7 minutes left on the clock, so.
We can run over a little bit, but I think we met such a lot of different people in the creative section of things. Holly mainly picked up things like picked up some. The candles were impressive.
Oh, they're called Austromancy, and they're actually from just down the road from us. They're not too far away at all.
Okay.
And they build, they create candles. So they've got mountain-shaped candles, which are all named after different mountains from The Lord of the Rings and from The Hobbit, and they all smell different, obviously.
What does Mount Doom smell like?
I can't remember.
Sulphurous and.
The concept is they're made because this guy that makes them is like, I think this is what these things would smell like, and takes a long time putting together how he thinks would smell. And then we can't say it on there because I want him to hear it when I say it.
Well, yeah, and also like the we have to be quite careful about what we can say because the mouse may descend.
Right.
But there are a series of Star Wars themed, very loosely candles.
Inspired
The one that I bought is called Space Cantina, and it smells like blueberry muffins.
It
And
was
it's
exactly how I imagined the canteen to smell like.
Yeah,
Isn't
exactly.
that an old Jedi?
One of the blueberries was the old Jedi. But no, there was one that like basically Holly said, "This is what this is." I can't say it really. I'll say it to him when I see him.
Yeah.
And Holly was like, "This smells of this person from this particular series," and I went, "I can see it if you go into this particular episode and this particular scene in this particular episode. That's the only reason I could go over it." And she was like, "That's exactly what he said. That's what he said it was supposed to be." So I guessed the exact scene that it'd taken inspiration from a Star Wars episode.
That's very specific.
Isn't it?
Just as it is, I was like, well, that's quite uncanny. So that pleased me a lot. And then there were the Bath people.
Bathcraft.
Quite cool.
Bathcraft, they make beautiful, beautiful bubble baths that are sealed in wax. The bottles are laser etched, and they're all sort of slightly sparkly, and then they've all got kind of like a bit of a D&D theme to them. So I bought a lemon scented one, which is kind of gold, and it's got this beautiful sort of lustrous gold glitter running through it, which I've realised now will actually make me glittery when I use it as a bubble bath. So must be used sparingly, and it's all sort of sealed with this beautiful black wax, and it just looks amazing. And I know it smells good because I spent quite a lot of this weekend sniffing basically everything that was put in front of me. I was like, oh, this is nice.
I bet that went down well with the board games.
Well,
board games have a great smell.
Having things put under my nose to smell, which I'm not a big fan of, but nonetheless, Holly was like, or Steph, smell this. Oh, I don't want to. But that's how it went down. So I
dice.
Enjoyed that as a sequence of my weekend. But yeah, I mean, there was just full of wonderful crafters, and we spoke to most of them. Most of them were like very keen to come on because we really want to talk to people on the pod. If you're out there listening, I've gone a bit blurry. To people that about where their passion comes from and why they're inspired to make stuff. And it was very interesting because a lot of people were like, we have other jobs. This is just stuff we really want to do. Now, why are you crocheting those Cthulhu's? Because we felt like we wanted to. I only got 3 for sale. They take ages, but it's like I love it. It's wonderful.
It is. It's lovely because you get kind of such a huge difference of makers, creators, gamers, personalities. Yeah, and there's sort of like millions of different like price points. You can find like jewelry that's like £300-400 per piece, and it's next to games that are designed to be sort of quite accessible and quite cheap. You find everything is kind of just all muddled in together, and everyone's having a really lovely time, and everyone's just kind of like skipping about being themselves. And I said it last year, and I'll say it again. I as a very, very neurospicy person that has quite a large problem with social anxiety, and especially with crowds, I didn't feel bothered by the sheer amount of people around me at the expo until like Sunday, and by Sunday it was starting to get a bit much.
That's Thursday to Sunday, was it?
Yeah. And it was starting to be, because everybody is, you can just, there is just joy radiating from people. Nobody's in a hurry. Nobody's, rushing. Like, yeah, okay, you get, people that don't have any self-awareness. You get people that, have far too many bags. You get people that shoulder check you when you're walking past, but it's not, none of that's malicious. None of it's mean.
No, one bad experience, which I won't go into, with one person. That was it.
Yeah. And I accidentally whacked that guy in the nuts.
Yeah, you smashed the guy in the bollock.
Was that the bad experience that you had?
No.
Okay.
No, like we went past someone and they slightly pushed Holly by mistake, and she turned around to have a go at them maybe, and like whacked them in the gonads with whatever she was carrying, and then turned around and hurried off and just left me there with this guy.
Bent over double in the middle of the...
I hadn't noticed that he had... I hadn't noticed that he'd walked into me, and I hadn't noticed that I'd done anything to him. I was completely oblivious to the whole thing.
You said, stitch this, you bastard, and then like whacked him in the gonads with a stick.
No, I didn't.
You hadn't noticed that he'd gone into the fetal position on the floor?
No. I honestly, I did
I
not
was all right.
see him in the slightest. And if he ever, by some strange twist of fate, ever listens to this podcast, I am very sorry. I'm very sorry.
I'm sure he
But
is.
I
sorry.
didn't know you were there.
Anyone ever again?
Um,
Right. There you go. So I know I just to echo Holly's words. It was great. It was the experience just in the hall was everyone was accepted. There was no one seemed to be on edge. It was a really good experience. I felt like just so much love. I haven't felt as like mentally rejuvenated or rejuvenating the soul or spirit, I guess, in a long time. Just because everyone was really pleased to see me, which is an unusual experience. And everyone was kind and wonderful and. Yeah, it was really good. It was I'm not sad to be away from it because Bill and stuff, but I'm looking forward to going back.
yeah, absolutely for definite.
Well, we talked about the moment in the car, like we talked about like maybe we asked a couple of people about how much the stalls were. Not because I want to go there and sell stuff, just because when it's really busy, if we've got a stall, we can just go into it and just sit down.
And sit.
It's not a stall; it's a retreat.
Yeah.
Build but you could kind of build that as like a little quiet space for people, and they're not abominably expensive, so it's something potentially to consider for.
But yeah,
next
I
year.
sit on my home in the
Cheaper
car.
than getting a hotel room for the weekend, just like sleep in the booth.
I don't think you can sleep in the booth. I don't think they'll let you sleep in the booth.
Damn it!
Well, I don't know. We could take monster suits because I imagine they clear you out, don't they? They clear all the trays out. But if Mark takes monster suits with me, he get in them before they clear us out, and they'll just think we're stock. And then when
I'm not doing that.
When they've gone, they've locked everything up. We can get back out again and just get in beds.
And play loads of games while nobody's there. You're not creepy at all.
I'm not doing that. I'm staying in a bed in a hotel.
Security guards come around like going, "Is it me or is it like Godzilla and an alien playing like the Lost Ruins of Arnak over there?" No,
I'm not doing it.
Like, no, you can't
I'm
see
sure
us.
we'll figure out some way of getting me there next year.
Well,
we will.
We're going to train out there next time because we realise that the train actually stops inside the Birmingham.
The NEC.
Oh well, that's perfect then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't realise that until our Uber driver, our unexpected Uber driver, was told us that actually it would save us time and money to go to be Ubered to the train station instead of being Ubered to the NEC proper. So we did that, and it turns out that you just go up a flight of steps and then suddenly there you are in the NEC.
Good for the surprise Uber driver.
Yeah.
Have you got any more questions, Mark? I think we're about done.
I mean, I think you've painted a glorious picture of chaos and games and fanboying and lovely people. My question is just, can I come next time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fine, fair enough. Job
We're
done.
booking a hotel this week, so.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh dear God. Okay.
Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
In days to come. But yeah, so this is kind of like the first time we've done a Patreon product. And just to jump back to that, it'll probably be better next time when we do anything. Like when we come back from Fantasy Forest, it's going to be easier because we'll have been there, so we can just rap about it rather than having the awkward bit where you're asking questions. So we can just generally chat about our experiences.
I was being awkward, was I?
You weren't being awkward.
Okay.
No, but like that means you get to join in,
Yeah.
rather than just sitting going like,
Actually have the
so
conversation.
you can just all just chat about what we've been up to, which would be nicer.
Yeah.
Yes, this is kind of like what we're putting out as Patreon pods, but I mean, I don't think this was this was kind of originally going to be designed to be a thing that we were going to be doing. We just kind of chatted about we're going to the expo, and we got back and we're like, in fact, we should probably like make that a thing, but it's not part of our regular stuff. So this is kind of what we're doing for the non-regs, but we don't have anyone in the Patreon at the moment because we haven't actually launched it. We're launching it like just after we kind of probably release it.
Soon.
But when we get a Patreon going, and if you are listening to this and you want to patron us, the Discord's already set up, which is which you'll get to through Patreon, and in there you can actually talk to us about how we'll go about our episodes. So you could have asked us a lot more probing questions about did you play these games, did you play those games, and kind of what can you tell us about this stuff. So we're going to add a few questions from the floor, which is something that we're definitely going to be angling for. So when we come to Fantasy Forest, we can talk about it beforehand, and then you can ask us, can we go and look at these guys, or can we go and chat to these people, or whatever, which I think is quite cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, there we go. Do anything else to add, Holly?
I bought a ticket to ride Puzzle Book.
Great. Did you get that from the expo?
Yeah.
Who got that?
You did as part of my early birthday present from Aconite Games, who also make Cthulhu adjacent novels.
And then I got my Arkham Country.
Welcome to Arkham.
Welcome to Arkham Illustrated, which Mark, I'm going to have to lend you. It's really good. It's illustrated guide to Arkham. It's got all the locations that Lovecraft wrote about in
excellent.
Arkham, and it's kind of just like a guidebook, and it's fucking cool. I love it. So yeah, I don't think I've got anything to add. No, I think I will actually just do a few quick shout-outs to people that we met there, because we had a wonderful time with, if you are listening to this, we had a wonderful time with the other podcasters who I was on the pod for, and they want Holly on. I'm sure when they meet Mark, they want Mark on to sit and chat about their experiences, which I'm having my one podcast. They were cool. It was great to meet them and sit and have a pint. It plays the Soldiers, who did some excellent work getting money for his charity, which I'm sure he will talk about. We get him on here. He was just an excellent human being. And we sat down with. Who else did we come up with? We met up with Irina from Steery Game, who told us all about her absolutely thoroughly exciting real world job, which I won't tell you about because she's also agreed to potentially come on the podcast. So she can tell you herself. We met up with our longtime gaming friend Lanners Plays Games. Oh, Lanners.
We love Lanners. Lanners is just a wonderful human being. And we kind of have to say a toast in absentia to Ross and Ross, our Knights of the Gaming Realm, who couldn't make it this year, but were very sorely missed indeed.
Yes. Didn't turn up to our romantic liaison point at the top of the stairs.
Next year we shall meet you in the gap between Hall 1 and Hall 2 at midday on Friday.
Be still my beating heart.
But yeah, so I think and it was, like I said, it was great to share the love that was kind of going around the tables. It's very cool. And a big shout out, of course, to Steph for putting up with us and having us in her home and feeding us and giving us way too much prosecco.
So much prosecco.
At all hours of the day and night.
She's gone on a 3-month no drinking detox thanks to that weekend.
Yeah, I'm on the same kind of path, I think. But yes, so there we go. Thanks to everyone there, and thank you for listening, everyone. So that is us, beautiful people. This is a largely unexpected but excellent pod. Definitely an excellent pod. I really enjoyed chatting about that stuff, and we really could have gone all day, but you can find everything else about us in our links, and our outro. So yeah, we're putting this out as a freebie. Cool, nice, lovely.
Yeah.
Go
cool.
us.
So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from them.
The power of the thrice goodbye.
That's not a thrice goodbye. Mark said it was from us, so that's a twice goodbye twice.
But you said it 3
It's a
times.
quadruple goodbye. It's even better than the first goodbye.
You've ruined the outro now.
No, we haven't. We've added to it in a humorous fashion. Kit will love this.
Standard outro if you don't kind of work on it. Oh my god.
Oh,
then
you're
we
so
can do it again.
conformist, Stephen.
Thanks.
Do you want to do it again?
No.
No, come on. I know you're just going to fret about this for the rest of the night.
I'm not going to go to sleep.
Well,
right, anyway, yes. The power of the quadruple goodbye that you only get on special Patreon pods.
yeah.
Goodbye. Much love.
Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to A Geek Tragedy with me, Plague Mantle, and my best friend, the excellent Holly Properly, and our actually famous guy, Mark Cordory. If you like this, there is plenty more at patreon.com/ageektragedy. Production is by Kit Bretnell. Our logo and artwork is by markcordory.com. Music is by Boleslaw Kozielski. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Geek Tragedy. Email us at geektragedypodcast@gmail.com. Subscribe, leave us a rating and a review. And don't forget to tell all your geeky friends. Also, a big shout out to all of our genius geeks. We adore each and every one of you. And of course, much love. Take care of each other.